Okay, you get to choose between the blue pill and the red pill. This is the matrix here. So the blue pill, you can listen to the AI in the textbooks and the manufacturer and live your comfortable life. Or the red pill, you can actually understand how science works. So I'm going to give you the blue pill, and if you want to stop there, that's fine. And then for those that want to take the red pill, they can keep on listening. Okay, so the blue pill. This is how to use a pipette. All right, you fill it up, you wipe it, and then you set the meniscus to the volume that you want, and then you at a 45-degree angle, you let it out with the tip touching for 5 seconds. Okay, now the pipette itself will be labeled, such as here, EX. Just if the pipette says 15 seconds, well, you have to do it for more than 5. Also, if the pipette gives you an error, that will override what you're reading here, which is half the smallest increment. So the labeling on the pipette will always override the standard rules, which are half the smallest increment for the uncertainty and 5 seconds at 45 degrees. Now, if it says EX or TD with a single band at the top or just a single coloured line, then that you're done. If there's 2 lines, then you have to blow out the last little bit of liquid that's left in the tip, because there'll be a little bit of liquid left in the tip here. Okay, you're not going to see IN or TC, because that means you have to rinse it out with water, all that remaining liquid that's in there, because that'll contain some of the compound that you want. EX and TD is because EX is European, to deliver is American, and inside or to contain it that contains American, the IN's European. Okay, so that's it. If you want the red pill and want to know the truth and how science works, then you can keep watching. Okay, so if you want to keep watching, we don't trust anything. We only trust the evidence. Now, before I start, the one extra thing I forgot to mention was, if it's not actually relevant to wipe off the liquid before you set the meniscus, because if there's a big drop on the end, you'll notice from the picture that there wasn't a big drop. There was a smaller drop at the end. But if there's a big drop at the end, that's not going to be the correct volume. So you're better off wiping after the meniscus. You just be careful that if you wipe it, it doesn't the tissue or whatever doesn't absorb further and lower the meniscus further than what you wanted it to. So the wipe off actually goes after the set meniscus, even though all the videos I've seen on how to use a pipette is different to that. Okay, so you've just got to use your head a little. Okay, when you do some of this, you have to think about what you're doing and not necessarily follow the same method as what is standard. So just for context, what's this one here? This one's the 20 mil. And for context, this is brand. So I've put 0.1 in there as the manufacturer. I really should give it 0.15. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt and using the highest for most of them. And so what I'm doing each time is I'm using a completely different pipette, same brand, everything's the same, but it's a different one. It's not a repeat, just to check them. And I tear it, then I release it. I do the tip. So I release it, and that gives me 19.7. I've got to take into account there's a little bit of error from the tearing. I let the tip and remeasure it, and then I blow it out. And now this one's got the 2 bands, so that's what I'm meant to do. I'm meant to blow it out, and it does seem to be correct. The only problem is the manufacturer says it's 0.1, and I'm getting a larger error as 0.2. So I do that with another 2 pipettes of the same brand, and it's fairly consistent. You definitely do have to blow it out if it's 2 bands. And you do have to blow it out there again if it's 2 bands, although that one is within the as accurate as what the company says it is. Okay, life doesn't end there. It's not that simple. Why is that annoying? Well, I think it's annoying. Go ask a chemistry teacher if they know the difference between 1 and 2 bands. If you look here at even the literature itself, it doesn't actually say that 2 bands is expelled. Is you need to blow it out. It even says it here, calibrated to deliver without waiting time, which gives no indication that these double bands times 2 and over here times 2 is actually expelling. And it's very hard to find that information. And you'll find, I bet most chemistry teachers won't, because I did analytical chem and got 7s for it, and I'm pretty sure I wasn't taught that way. I was taught that INTC is to blow out, and EXTD is you leave the little bit in there. And I don't remember ever hearing of a single or double band it being mentioned. And so that's the bit of red pill that I think I was taught wrong. I'm pretty sure. All right. Gets worse. Okay. So the next one is this one's what, a 2 mil one. The manufacturer here has what is it, 0.02? What did I give them? I've given the lower one. Okay, but that's close, 0.02 each time. Even better for this one. This one is a double band, and this one does confirm you definitely need to blow it out. You blow it out, it is slightly worse on this one, slightly worse on that one, and slightly better on that one, but all within the limits. So that confirms the double band is definitely to be blown out, even though it says EX or IN. Okay, now once you get to some dodgy things like this is one of the American ones I have. It has a TD, and then an IN, then a European IN, which means TC, and it's plastic, and I can't find this company. And it's got double bands as well to blow out. And so when I do it, it does have quite a large error that gets worse when you blow it out. And so it does seem with the double bands and IN that it's meant to be blown out, but you do not blow it out. So the reality is you have to get to know, you have to test your pipette, because you've got no idea really. You'll see with this coming up ones. So that's a crappy brand. You'll see with this one here. Where are we? With the measuring, what did I do here? Sorry, this is comparing with the cylinder. Sorry, I think there's a glitch on the screen, but I'll just leave that. This is showing you with that 5 mil one. You don't use measuring cylinders because they have these huge errors. It's 0.05, which is quite large for 5 mils. All of the errors here on your on your pipettes are really quite small. So for 5, it's 0.03 or 0.02 usually. And so that's why we don't use measuring cylinders here, because they're so large. But you find with this 5 one that it's as bad as a measuring cylinder. Okay. So moving on, I've got 2 more. So this one's just a single band. So I'm just checking that the single bands are correct, and as well. And so this one is a 10 mil one. And so I'm going to the manufacturer here. This one's brand, and the manufacturer says at worst it's 0.08. And each time, this is not meant to be blown out, but it is within the limits of what the manufacturer says. And every time I blew that little bit out, it was actually better than not blowing it out. Okay, so the reality is you've got to know your pipettes well. So that one's not meant to be blown out, but if you do blow it out, you'll get a closer reading. Well, at least on these 2 pipettes. All right, so maybe keep these 2 and know that that's the case for these 2. All right, now going on to a 1 mil pipette here. This is brand again, yellow, so 0.01. I gave it the worst one. This one has a slight, it's not 2 yellow bands, but it's got a slight, a thin band at the top. So you're not quite sure if that's double or single. It must just be a single band, because every time you blow it out, well, for these 2 anyway, it got worse. And the error was quite large, even just with the tip, 0.05 and 0.07, or 0.08 really. And that was meant to be 0.01. So the 1 mil ones are especially bad, and that's definitely, it looks like a double band, but it's definitely a single band. It looks like a questionable double band, but is a single band. So what's the moral of the story? What's the bitter red pill? You're not really going to know. Double band is meant to be blown out. Single band's meant to not be, but you're never ever really going to know. The only way to actually know is to do what I did here, is to grab your pipette and test it out a few times, and then make sure you keep that pipette as your friend and you know that pipette well and how that pipette works, because there really is no guarantee whether or not they write EXTDINTC and they have a single or a double band. You're never going to know. You have to test it out. Okay? That's the horrible reality.